December 3rd, 2018. So the Department of Justice just posted this on their webpage in the last couple of hours, saying that a political operative had been convicted. He's just been convicted of federal campaign finance crimes in 2 congressional campaigns and of obstructing an investigation by Federal Election Commission. So this individual, Kenneth Smuckler, they say here worked with another individual who was a Clinton staffer as well. This section from the DOJ release names this same individual, a second person who had just recently been convicted in the same case. Her name, Carolyn Cavanis. In 2012, they say Smuckler, who the DOJ is just saying has been convicted today. Smuckler in 2012 engaged in a conspiracy to make a concealed payment of $90,000 to congressional candidate and former Philadelphia municipal judge Jimmy Moore to get Judge Moore to drop out of the primary election race. Smuckler, who worked for another candidate, orchestrated the payment of money through his own companies, a shell company of Judge Moore's campaign manager, that was Carolyn Cavanis, who was Judge Moore's manager at the time, and another campaign consultant, they say. DA Jones, Judge Moore, Cavanis, and Jones have all pleaded guilty separately. So following up, and they noted at the time, this article from last year saying former Clinton staffer pleads guilty in scheme to pay off primary challenger. This individual, Carolyn Cavanis, worked as a deputy finance director for Hillary Clinton's 2008 presidential campaign before she went to work for Moore, who accepted this $90,000. The candidate who tried to pay off Moore is also a high-profile Democrat as well. Brady, Congressman Brady, U.S. Representative Bob Brady. Another article late last year saying that he was also being investigated. U.S. Representative Bob Brady has agreed to cooperate. His challenger, they're saying, and potentially testify in an ongoing federal investigation into $90,000. He says the congressman's campaign gave him to drop out of a 2012 primary race. But Jimmy Moore, former Philadelphia municipal court judge, remained tight-lipped Monday on whether his testimony could implicate Brady, one of Philadelphia's most powerful Democrats, in a crime. So this payment was made on behalf of Brady and some of these other individuals involved, possibly taking the fall. He is also, there was an investigation. It's unclear if there's going to be more convictions. We had previously the Clinton staffer, just today, now DOJ announcing another conviction, this time of Kenneth Smuckler. It's the third individual that they have convicted so far. This was the press release from the DOJ today. So this is the most recent update today. Justice Department saying a jury sitting in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania convicted longtime political operative Kenneth Smuckler, 58 years old, of Pennsylvania, today on charges of making and concealing illegal campaign contributions in 2 congressional primary elections and of obstructing justice in an investigation by the Federal Election Commission, announced Assistant Attorney of the Justice Department's Criminal Division, along with the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. A quote from today from the Assistant Attorney reads, "Today's convictions demonstrate that the Department of Justice is committed to ensuring a level playing field in the financing of federal elections. We will hold accountable those who violate campaign finance and other laws designed to protect fairness and transparency of our democracy." They say Smuckler was the mastermind of multiple crooked political schemes. He showed a true pattern of deception by misusing funds and lying to corrupt the entire political process. The only way to guarantee open and fair elections is to have everyone play by the same rules. Smuckler ignored those rules and broke the law so that his candidates could try to win at all costs. We are grateful that the jury saw through his lies and has held him accountable for his widespread criminal conduct. The jury found Smuckler guilty of conspiracy to violate federal law, making and causing unlawful campaign contributions, and causing false statements to the FEC in connection with the 2012 congressional primary campaign in the Philadelphia area congressional district. The jury further found Smuckler guilty of making and causing unlawful campaign contributions, causing the filing of false reports to the FEC concerning contributions and expenditures, causing false statements to the FEC in connection with a 2014 congressional primary campaign in another Philadelphia area congressional district, and obstructing an FEC investigation. Same paragraph that we looked at, 2012, Smuckler engaged in this conspiracy to make this concealed payment, and they also note the involvement here of Carolyn Cavanis, who was the former Hillary Clinton staffer who went on to work for the Moore campaign. They say that Smuckler worked for another candidate, orchestrated the payment of this money through his own companies, a shell company of Judge Moore's campaign manager. Shell company was led by Carolyn Cavanis. That's the former Hillary Clinton staffer. Then from 2014 through 2015, they go on to say Smuckler, as a campaign manager, also made, caused, and concealed excess and conduit contributions and engaged in a falsification and obstruction scheme involving a different congressional candidate. The excess contributions came from associates of Smuckler and were funneled through two of Smuckler's consulting companies. Conduit contributions were routed through another political consultant and the candidate. Jury found that in or about April 2014, Smuckler had become aware that the campaign was running out of funds that it could spend on primary election expenses. Smuckler nevertheless directed the campaign to continue paying for goods and services associated with the primary election. In or about May of 2014, one of Smuckler's companies made a $78,750 payment to the campaign that was used to pay for primary election expenses. Smuckler falsely told the campaign that this money came from, quote, a segregated media account, when in fact the payment was funded by an associate of Smuckler's and therefore was an illegal campaign contribution. Moreover, after Smuckler's candidate lost the primary election, the campaign did not have sufficient funds to repay the contributions that the campaign had received for the general election. To conceal this shortfall, another cover-up, Smuckler funneled illegal contributions, this time totaling $150,000 from an associate to the campaign through two of Smuckler's consulting companies. Smuckler falsely told the campaign that these payments were refunds. He claimed that they were refunds of money that had been through Smuckler's companies, moved through Smuckler's companies for general election expenses, when in fact, they say the money had come not from any such account, but instead came from Smuckler's associate, and the money could not have been drawn from campaign funds because Smuckler's companies had already spent a significant portion of the funds they had received from the campaign. Smuckler further caused the campaign to falsely characterize the payments from his companies as refunds, falsely characterized them as refunds in FEC reports, and in a letter to the FEC from unwitting campaign counsel, which led the FEC to dismiss a pending complaint against the campaign by another candidate in the primary. They close off saying the jury has also convicted Smuckler of making unlawful conduit contributions to the campaign in 2014 through Jones, and again in 2015 through the candidate herself. Judge is set for sentencing for March 13th, 2019. So we should have an update coming up on that as well. It seems like they're looking at a few people in this investigation still. We'll have to see if there's any update on Congressman Brady's role in this, what's going to happen to him with this investigation as well, or how that proceeds, that part of this too. I will continue to follow this. I'll follow up with new info as it comes out. I have a link to the press release from the DOJ and the news report from from today. I also have a link to my Patreon account in the video description. Thanks everybody that has helped the channel over there, along with the PayPal link. You can help there as well. Tell me what you think, and I will follow up soon. Thank you.